This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, hence the name of the show. And today I have Gina Nacnac. She is a marketing consultant and coach, very similar to what I do. And we look at marketing and life very similarly. So I'm excited to get into things with you, Gina. But before getting into things, how are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Doing super fantastic. Hopefully we don't lose power because it's been a little crazy here in Puerto Rico in the last 2 weeks with the power. No storm or anything, but I'm blessed because my family has solar powers and and that allows me to work, and it's been a very productive week. That even with that. So
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm happy to be here with you. Hopefully, we can stay connected through our session here.
Right. Let's hope for the best in here. And you're in Vegas, right?
Yeah, I just moved to Vegas.
Nice. So heat, like we were talking offline. So
Oh, yeah. I'm getting to know it really well now.
right. So let's kick it off with a quick introduction about yourself and your company.
Yeah, so I'm a marketing consultant and coach. I really specialize in strategy. So really translating a business's goals into social strategy and content. But these days I'm really focused on working with founders and fractionals to really develop a personal brand and kind of elevate their thought leadership in the space.
I love that. It's very needed. I mean, there's such a big opportunity right now in social that who knows if it's gonna go away with AI, right? But right now there's a big opportunity that if you position yourself properly and you're able to display your authenticity, you're gonna be able to attract your people, your ideal client avatar, your ideal employees, your ideal partners, everything, as long as you're able to really eliminate that programming and all that negativity that you have, and then being able to display that authenticity online. Because when you display your authenticity, then you have no competition because nobody's like you. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I know that like we look at marketing very similarly, and one thing that I really like on one of the topics that you like to talk is having that signature method, right? And that kind of goes along very good with the authenticity point that I was just touching on. So when it comes to that, having that distinguishing factor, that in that signature method, what are some advice or tips that you have for the audience giving your expertise?
Yeah, so the idea of a signature method was really born out of the best practice that a lot of like coaches and gurus use, right? They have one secret sauce, they package it up, and they take people through typically like a 3-step method or something like that. And what I love about that is it very clearly communicates who you help, how you help them, and what results you can provide. And as I'm getting deeper into this consulting space and seeing the landscape of work really change, we see this increase in growth of contract work, right? And also fractional leaders. And the challenging thing that I experienced being a consultant is that when you have such a wide range of skills and you want to help everyone, you end up being everything to everyone. And it leaves you spread very thin because you're providing ad hoc services to different clients at different stages with different goals. And that becomes very challenging. So in thinking about, okay, what are ways that individuals can really simplify systems for themselves while maintaining the level of standard that they want to deliver for their clients. And I thought, well, if they just put together a signature method, I think that this would be key, right? And this kind of was born out of the process that I use with my clients. I noticed that I was taking them through kind of three stages. The first was strategy development, really understanding, okay, what are your goals? And then how do we then translate that into social content, branding, and connect with the people that you truly want to connect with? So a lot of the upfront work is done on the strategy. And then once we establish the strategy, what the channel strategy should be, what the content strategy should be, then how do we translate that into content, right? What are the formats? And after that, it's like, okay, now that we have the content, how do we connect the pieces to monetization? Whether that's selling services, a digital product, how do we connect the dots between making sure that your content is inviting people to work with you in your business and connecting those dots? So I found that if we're doing strategy, content, and monetization, it's a very clear path for me as a consultant, and I can scale more easily. And the clients that I'm working with can easily see what path we're going down, and have that expectation set up front so it improves their experience and their results as well. So when developing your own signature method, I would really recommend looking at the elements of your business that you really enjoy doing. I like to say the things that steam your rice. You know?
Haven't heard that one before. Yeah,
that's my signature phrase.
that's a good one. That's a good one. Steam your rice.
That's steam your rice. Absolutely. So, what is it? Because especially as marketers, right? We have to have a depth of experience and skills across different things. But I think that there is one particular lane that people really love to work in. For me, that's strategy, right? I can do the creative side of it. I can do the execution side of it. But the space that I really love to play is strategy. And so I'd encourage people to really think about, what part of your business do you really love to play? And what is the process that you take people to get from point A to point B in that one piece? And if you can break it down into 3 steps, that essentially can be your signature method.
I like that. So in short, this is what I got from what you said is to look for what steams your rice, right? First, what's the thing that you really like about the different things that you do? Because we're capable about doing a lot of things, but what's that thing that really gets you excited, that you really enjoy? Then take that and try to break it down into ideally 3 different sections and something that then you can give it a name, and right, like you did with the steam your rice, right? And something that people can remember, can feel something, because clearly I'm gonna remember because you make me laugh, you make me feel an emotion, which that's what we're looking for. People won't remember most of the words that we say, but they will remember how we make them feel. So that kind of goes into that component based on my knowledge, and then based on what you said, and then kind of have that as your main thing, that look, you hook people with this, you get results with this, and then after you're in a company, and this is maybe just my 2 cents being added in here, that after you're in, you can help companies in multiple ways, just solving the different puzzles that they have, like I do, entering as a fractional CMO, but then I help with operations too, and I help hire and things like that. But first is having that signature thing, and the signature method, right? And that's how I like to call it, like it's almost could be seen as a foot in the door offer. It could be seen as almost like as a hook, in a way that like something that I also like calling it the door that you get into a business, because we got to find out how we get in. After we're in, then we're in, we can move, and depending what are the needs of the business, because ultimately we just want to help them grow, and then we'll help them grow however we can, but just getting into the business. That's what I got from that. Like, did I miss something, or
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, what I got from what you said?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a great way to think about it as kind of a foot in the door. I think, especially with something like that, like a signature method, is if you can work with people from the very beginning, it's a lot easier, right? Because the process is already set up in a way that works. It's already adopted a framework that works. It's a little bit more challenging to come in and kind of break things and rebuild them. But I like that approach of, if you can come in with one value proposition in the beginning and then use that as a way to kind of scale the services. And I think that's what really drove the motivation for creating a signature method, is like, how do we streamline everything? And then how can we scale from that? Because it's impossible to scale when you are juggling multiple things at one time. It's like you are so stretched thin. I hear so many consultants say, like, I'm so busy working in the business that I'm not working on the business. I'm so focused on working on my clients that I'm not working on my personal brand. And why would you? You don't have the bandwidth. So I love
Yeah.
this as a way to just simplify the process, not only for yourself, but also for your clients. And then, kind of open the door of opportunity for them to work with you.
That I completely agree with that. And talking about personal brand, so I'm glad that you brought that up. I think everybody should have a personal brand, regardless if you want to be an entrepreneur or not. It's something that just makes life easier in every aspect. People can remember you better. People, if you're trying to get a job, you have a personal brand. Like, people see value on that, bringing them to their company. And now, even with entrepreneurship being something big that is happening right now, where they companies are realizing, if I let my employees also behave as entrepreneurs outside of their responsibilities that they have do to meet during the company hours, let's say, that you establish, or just the task that they need to accomplish. Outside of that, if you let them the freedom to build a brand and get out there, they open more doors to the companies that they work for. And that's how I see personal branding being useful, not only for entrepreneurs, which that's kind of obvious, right? Like, you need to be known, you need to be recognized, you need to build trust. But then even for other people that have jobs, that's how I see, like, being something very valuable. So what's your take on personal brand?
Yeah, I love this question. I think personal brand, like you said, speaks to your credibility, right? There are several ways that I think kind of the old school way of doing things, speaking to your credibility, is like through case studies. And I think that's relevant. But nowadays, when we're all on social media, everybody's looking at social channels. In many ways, Instagram has become your outward facing profile. LinkedIn, everybody sounds like a star on their LinkedIn headline. And but but beyond that, I think that it's important to build a personal brand at this point in time, not only because of the increased visibility on social media and that kind of being a way that people measure you and measure your credibility, but I think it's also important because of the changing landscape of the work environment. I think gone are the days of full-time employment, and we see this rise again of contractor work, fractional work. And so because things are so temporary, we can't really rely on a full-time job for long. We have short projects, and we execute for as long as there's budget, right? And so I think that establishing a personal brand gives you the foundation to fall back on, because you can't really rely on an employer for longevity anymore. But if you have a personal brand where you're recognized in your industry, it not only gives you the credibility, it gives you stability because you've established that reputation for yourself. And it just creates more opportunities and allows you to stand out in the marketplace. I read this stat that enterprise adoption of fractionals is going to increase by 50% by 2025. So, what's going to set you apart as a fractional? A lot of times we're all very skilled, talented individuals that have been at our jobs for a really long time. But when you have the same set of skills as everyone else, what's your key differentiator? And now more so than ever, as you mentioned at the top of this thing, is that people are really drawn to authenticity. And a lot of times, the reason they will hire you is just because they like you as an individual. They like the
They like your
way
values, right? It's not
right.
just you; it's just what you stand for. What? How do you take decisions, right? Where that's when it comes like those values and things. That people buy more that than anything else. When you can find, oh, I need a tax person. Well, I have all these tax people that I can just Google, but which one I'm gonna pick? Well, I'll start going looking at the social media, and then I see like, oh, they like the NBA like me. They like God. They like certain things that I can start seeing their values, their likes, and then I was like, oh, well, if I can pick anybody, I'm gonna pick the one that I relate the most with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. An alignment in values, and also like the way you think. How many times have you heard someone say, I love the way you think? And if someone loves the way you think, then they're going to love the way that you work, right? Because it gives them some insight into how you look at problems and how you solve those problems. So I think that this is where thought leadership is going to really become in key. And I think that this is going to be the new wave, because the problem with social media now, information is so accessible, and so many of us are just regurgitating the same information, right? Like, we all have access to the same news, data, information. And I love the quote that says, the world is drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. And so I think that if you can really come to the forefront by establishing your thought leadership, by sharing your ideas that expand the perspective or change the way that people are seeing things or doing things, that's really going to help you stand out as a leader in the industry, and not just someone that's doing best practices.
That is so true. Right now, especially with AI being democratized and just getting better and better, like bigger and stronger and more capable, that now it's not about knowledge, right? Like when I have access to creating an agent that takes decisions based on all the books that I want to for that agent of AI take decisions from, and then it can have more capabilities than Bill Gates and Elon Musk and anybody, that all these big people, because it has more capability to have all the data. And as long as you train it properly and you like set up the boundaries to be able to take the decisions correctly, then it's something that can guide you with direction and can guide you in so many different ways, right? It's just when it comes to wisdom, like you say, like that's that human component, like being there and in putting the psychology into things, and even the spiritual, like things like that. Those are things that the AI really is not human, right? So the kind of step for even keep using AI to be there, it's something that I'm focusing on right now with my partner Sol Alcina, and we're doing this cloning of yourself as an AI agent with your values, and then with kind of making you with extra knowledge, because then you can put all these books and all this stuff, right? So that's something that I'm focusing on with this, and that's something that AI will not replace. It's people itself, right? Like people working on themselves, right? That part cannot be like people working on you. Like AI cannot enter your body and work on yourself and your traumas and your stuff, right? Which that's the thing that can be irreplaceable, right? Yeah, I guess. Right? I guess the Neuralink thing, man. So so that's kind of where we are. So that's why like I really like the the combining the like personal development, working on yourself, doing things like retreats and programs, and then being able to extract that authenticity. And now that even if you want to like boost it with technology, at least you're able to set up AI and like clone yourself and do things that will be okay. I'm gonna do it from a place of wholeness, and that's where the real brand identity comes into play. So that's something that
Mhm.
I'm focusing on right now. Is like, how do we work on ourselves and help our clients work on themselves,
Mhm.
extract, eliminate the programming, extract the authenticity, then do
Mhm.
brand identity based on that authenticity. So that makes you like you don't have
Mhm.
competition because nobody's like you, and
Mhm.
then take that into the AI world. And like, how do we
Mhm.
create different an agent that leads with your values, and then multiple agents that will then become the employees in the company. And we're kind of looking at what's gonna be the world without work, right?
Mhm.
Because we can
Mhm.
create those things. So that's something that's what I'm focusing on right now. And that's where the personal branding comes into play, so people remember you when everybody has access to knowledge and all that. What do you do to help people remember you, and so you have value somehow, right?
Yeah, yeah. I love that. That's such an exciting project. Let's definitely stay close on that because I'm like very interested in that as well. I love
Yeah,
ChatGPT, and I've been, working on the same because, it's all about like optimization, right? We're all looking to do more with less, but I think you're right in the sense that um, AI can optimize, but the thing that AI doesn't have is it doesn't have creativity and it can't speak from experience. And that's where the wisdom comes in. And I think that's why, there's the word thought leadership is kind of a buzzword, but it's like, what does thought leadership really mean? And I think, in my opinion, thought leadership really means being able to share your ideas in such a way that it helps expand people's perspective. And I think that a lot of that comes through speaking through your personal experience, right? Like what you experience, because people will be able to either relate to that, be able to feel that emotion in some way. And that's what really, connects us, right? The data and the stats and all of that makes sense, but nothing is really going to build that human connection that is going to, not be as close of a connection if you can really understand a person's experience and learn from that and really feel them and really align with them on their values. I think that's what's really going to set us apart. So, what's interesting is what I love about the way that you approach things. I think we're very aligned in this sense, is that we're both very future thinking, like, okay, how can we optimize for the future, right? And really stay ahead of what's happening, but still work on the basics, right? Of personal
definitely.
development, right? And that's why I am a coach and consultant, right? Because I find that as a consultant, yes, I can guide, direct, provide strategies, and all of that. And that's useful when you're working with companies and corporations. But when you are working with individuals, things get way more complex than that. And so I found that being able to coach someone through personal challenges, mindsets, limiting beliefs, like that is very important because you can optimize the business as much as you want. But if you're not optimizing the operator of that business, there's only so much that you can do. So I very much am aligned with you in that I feel like both are important, right? The business is important, but the person that's running the business is the most important.
Completely agree with you. And I've said this in this podcast a bunch of times, which is something I was taught. There's there's really not business problems. They're not business problems. They're just personal problems that reflect on the business. If you think about it, businesses are just people. That's what drives a business. So it's just people problems reflecting on business. That's all, right? And when I learned about that, I was like a good perspective that I took, and like, okay, so then let's focus on the personal, and that's it, because the rest will just figure itself out as long as you work on the people, attracting the right people, serving the right people, being the right people, right? And that those components, it's what's being me focused. Okay.
Yeah,
So
sorry about that. I think my internet cut out for a second. Are
okay,
you
no worries, no worries.
okay? Are we still
I
good?
think we're still good. Yeah. So anyway, so look, I just want to say thank you for adding all this value. This is being an amazing conversation. I knew that we're gonna have a great conversation because we're aligned in so many ways, and we're gonna talk about more stuff, right, like the AI and stuff. But just to kind of wrap things up here for the audience, I know it's gonna be some people that are gonna be like, "Oh, Gina looks cool. Like, I want to know more about her." So I want you to tell us, what are the ideal people that you're looking to connect with, and how can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm really looking to connect with founders and fractionals right now, focused on really developing their personal brand and elevating their thought leadership so that they can stand out in the space. I really believe in the quote, the Gretzky quote that says, don't skate to where the puck has been, skate to where it's going. And I feel like, founders and fractionals, this is going to be a significant need in the way that the trajectory of where work and business is going. It's going to be absolutely key to establish a personal brand and thought leadership. So I really want to work with individuals that find the importance of that. And I really want to help them translate all of their years of experience into a nice package where they can create a signature method and, most importantly, do what steams their rice.
That's so funny. Do what steams your rice. So funny.
Yeah.
I'm from Puerto Rico. We eat rice here all the time with everything. So that's hit close to home.
Yeah. Yeah. No, as a Filipino American, that's a big part of it. But I think it's a relevant analogy because, rice is what you eat. It's what sustains you. And, a lot of times, we think about work and, just what it can provide for us. But I think it's also important to focus on this because it's nourishment for the soul. You have to enjoy your experience, your life experience, and be happy with what you're doing. And I think that, when you're able to really share your experience and your wisdom, it just makes the experience so much better for yourself and with others because you're able to connect in a real way. So if people are hoping to connect with me, I would love to connect. They can find me on LinkedIn at Gina Nacnac. My last name is spelled Nacnac. And fortunately or unfortunately, that is not a joke. That is my real last name.
That's funny, but it's easy to remember. It's catchy. So I would say fortunately. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thanks again for being here. I really enjoyed this conversation. I love your energy. I know that we're probably gonna do some things together just based on how similar we think, and we were being in the same space, serving people in a slightly different ways. I think there's a lot of possible collaboration opportunities. So I'm looking forward for that. So thank you.
Yeah, excited. Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you.
So this was Gina Nacnac and Fu, and this is us signing off. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Fu with your host, Fu. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.